The Sweet Sound of Success show is brought to you by the Mentor Studio. The Mentor Studio is an exclusive mentoring and training program for social influencers, business owners, entrepreneurs, coaches, and startups, bringing personal development to the underserved around the world. And brought to you by Success Strategists. Simple strategies that work to develop your business with flow and ease using proven strategies and the right tactics. This is the Sweet Sound of Success with Sue Wilhite, Success Attraction Expert. Angela Jackson is a speaker, an author, and a coach. She's passionate about helping people heal their wounds, nurture their gifts, and shine their light in the world. She's inspired hundreds of people to make positive changes and has appeared on CBS, CBC, and Life by Design TV shows. Angela is the author of 2 books, the best-selling Celebrate Anger and its sequel, Celebrate Life. Welcome, Angela.
Oh, thank you, Sue. Thank you so much for having me on your wonderful show.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad we finally managed with everything that was going on. Managed to get this going between you and me. It's been an interesting couple of months.
My mother used to say, and I hated it, she used to say, where there's a will, there's a way. And I would mutter it under my breath, but it's true. When we have that intention, it works.
It does. And so my intention for this show is to provide you, my audience and viewers and listeners, a sort of origin story. And I have based this on the hero's journey from Joseph Campbell. And he came up with, after studying thousands and thousands and thousands of myths and legends and stories from all cultures all over the world, he came up with a 16-point, these are the commonalities in all of the stories. Now, we're not doing all 16. And not every story has all 16, by the way. What I like to focus on are just 5 of them. And the 5 are the ordinary beginning, because nobody is ordinary. The call to action, what got Angela out of whatever she was doing and into celebrating anger of all things. And then the big hairy monsters. I wonder if there's any big hairy monsters in this story with celebrating anger. And, a lot of times I put them in that order, but the big hairy monsters frequently show up before the call to action. And they kind of get woven in, but certainly they can come up later as well. And then allies, mentors, guides, the folks that come along and help you answer questions, ask questions, point you in the right direction, or even the wrong direction that somehow gets you to the right place. And then for an entrepreneur, it's always interesting having people in your life who are not entrepreneurs, who don't get it, what you're doing and why you're doing it and how you're doing it and why aren't you getting a paycheck and what is that? And the, of course, dreaded question, when are you going to get a real job? So those are the 5 points. And Angela, what was your ordinary beginning?
Well, I won't go into my very, very ordinary beginning, but I will go into my ordinary beginning about entrepreneurship, which is sort of like a byproduct. So what had happened was I really had a passion to help people. And at the time, my passion took me to going to teachers college and becoming a teacher. And the school that I started teaching at was a school It was called a secondary school, but everybody knew that it was a school that had kids in it that were from broken homes, that were in and out of jail, that came from very dysfunctional backgrounds. And it was considered a school for failures. So that was the stigma. That's what these kids were walking around with. Ew. And, you know, I chose to be in this school. And actually, I replaced a teacher who had been fired because he was drunk and lying. It was in a portable in the middle of winter. It was a very, very harsh winter. And he was fired because he was in the portable with the kids drinking. And, you know, somebody told somebody and he got fired. So I came in and I have to tell you that what I faced at this time was high school. It was grade 12. I faced about 38 kids, most of whom were guys, big, tall guys, chains, black leather jackets. It was like a scary moment. Suffice it to say, you know, I got through. And I have to tell you how I got through, because I picked the biggest, toughest looking guy in the room. And I said, because he said, you know, he was saying, "Miss, you don't belong here, miss, you get it." And I said, well, I tell you what, I'm going to challenge you to arm wrestling. And if I win, I'm the teacher, I get to control the class. But if you win, you're the teacher. Now, I did have a little plan up my sleeve. We got together, elbow to elbow, arm to arm. And I said, I'm going to call it 1, 2, 3. And I called 1, 2, 3, and then I tickled him. Oh. And I thought, and he said, life's not, you know, he said, that's not fair, miss. And I said, life's not fair. And that's how we started. And, you know, it was a different kind of a start, but that's where I started. And I say entrepreneurship because really it was my room, my world was this portable. And I knew I needed to help these kids. I was hired to teach English and drama. And what I started teaching was self-esteem, self-confidence, because that's what they needed. And anger. They had so much anger. And I was no stranger to anger, Sue, I can tell you. I had quite a bit of my own. I grew up in foster homes. It's another story. But, you know, so I had a lot of issues that I had gone through and I had worked through. And I knew that I needed to help these kids. So I started madly with my own head and at home at night, my laboratory, really, for helping to design some tools, some strategies so that these kids could have something tangible. And then I take them back to school the next day and they try them out. And by God, it worked. And the strategies worked and they got so excited and I got so excited. And that was the beginning.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Well, that was dramatic. And I was thinking when you said you were teaching English and drama, those kids didn't need any more drama in their life.
Oh my God, they didn't need any more drama at all. And you know, and because the tools that I had developed were working, then I wanted to take them to the teachers and to the principals. I wanted to take them to the, you know, the whole school system, to every kid to have them. Unfortunately, a lot of the teachers weren't interested, and the administration, but some were. And that got me starting to take my work out. And then, you know, I taught there in that school for 11 years and I developed a whole lot of things. But then I decided I want to take my work out to the world. And I felt that everybody needed this stuff. You know, I mean, I really felt that way and I still do.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not just about anger. It's about how we are inside. It's about our frustrations. You know, right now we're living in a cranky climate. I mean, right. But we've got Zoom.
Yes, absolutely. So besides the literal big hairy monsters who were in your class, because I admit, you know, they're teenagers, they're boys, they're big, they're hairy. Let's be real.
Testosterone city there.
What were some of the other challenges that you got to handle?
Well, you mean when post school, when I started my business? Okay. So when I started my business, I had no business skills. I knew how to handle high school kids. I knew how to deal with people who had difficulties. I knew I had an amazing program. Business savvy, none at all. So but I was graced, and I have been graced throughout my life by little signs, little synchronicities, and big ones. So I was coming home from school. I was a single mom. I had 3 kids, and I was coming home from teaching school. And after I'd made this decision, it was just, I was finishing my contract, and I found a book that somebody had discarded in the trash. And it was an advertising guide, and it was the ABCs. It was a McLean Hunter advertising guide. So I picked it up. It was 3 years out of date. And I started at the A's, and I started calling, and I thought, well, I'm going to call the CEOs. So I'm the CEO of my company. That's all I knew. And I called ADT Security Systems. I hope you've heard of ADT, but they were very big in the East anyhow. And I called, and the fellow said, I got to talk to the vice president of human resources, and he said, well, come on in and we'll have a chat. So, I'm trembling as I go in. I mean, I'm scared because, he's a big guy, and who am I, right? I'm a lowly teacher, but who is now not a teacher, and I have kids to support, and blah, blah. So I went in but I had a lot of drive and a lot of passion. And he said that he'd hired me, but he was going to hire me to go out to Winnipeg. Now, Winnipeg is in Canada, which is where I am or have been, is very, very cold in the winter. Yes. And this was the winter, and it was really sub-zero. And he was going to hire me to go out there and to work with his group. And he said they're a very angry group, and he said there's a problem between the union management and the administrative staff. There's big problems there. And I said, well, you got to bring them all together for me. You got to put them all in one room. Union management, one room. Yeah, because it was not going to work otherwise, right? So he sent me out there. I had 3 days of anger communication and conflict management, a day on each, and it worked. I knew it would. I mean, I'm really confident because I'd worked with these kids, I knew it would. And I adapted it, of course. And then he hired me to go through the company. And I spent the next 2 years, every 2 weeks, 3 days, going through the entire company, through the States, through Canada. Wow. It was absolutely amazing. It was a great, great opportunity. I was so blessed. That's how it happened.
Wow.
So I was an entrepreneur, and I had a guardian angel.
Yeah. So for those of you out there in the audience who are afraid of cold calling, I want to hold this up as an example of what happens when you get a yes. And that's what you want to pin to your vision board.
Yes.
Going through and calling people, and you get a no. Oh my God, you're crazy. What the hell are you doing wasting my time? You smile and chuckle and go, yep. And when's that contract coming through where I get the nationwide thing? Because that's what you're going to get. If you're going
to get lots of no's. I had lots of no's after the 2 years. I thought that because I'd had this 2 years, it was just going to continue. But of course, I trained everybody. And in fact, they said 10 years later that the company didn't need any more training because they'd had me. Now, that was an accolade, I'm telling you. But it dried up, of course. There was nothing there. And I am somebody who is not comfortable with cold calling. I mean, I don't like doing it. I don't like it.
Most people don't.
Yeah.
Most people don't. Well, that was a fabulous, fabulous story. Well, who were some of, besides this great vice president in ADT who believed in you, who were some of your mentors and guides along the way?
Well, again, I have been very blessed. I have to tell you, you have to keep an open mind on this one, but because I was afraid of cold calling, but I still I needed to support my family. I needed to make the money. God, higher power, has been my great source of inspiration and my go-to. And I would say that God was in charge of my marketing program. And this is how my marketing program went. I would say, okay, I closed my eyes and I'd pray. And I knew I was doing good work. And I said, God, if you want me to continue this work, please send it to me. And if you don't want me to, then don't, and I'll know. So that's what I do. I pray and the phone would ring. So blessed because I had faith. I had tremendous faith. I had a need and I had faith. And you know, the same is still true today. I have faith and I know people have a need. I know that, you know, that what I offer is unique, and I go deep and I get to the core of things with them. And then, you know, we build up self-esteem and confidence and communication and all those good, juicy things that people need, whether it's in relationships or in business, it doesn't matter. It's still the same issues we carry with us. So I've had to, with COVID happening and doing online, it's a whole different ballgame, of course. It's adapt, and it's adapt to everything. And now I'm trying to do with my higher power, my God, as I understand God, I'm also trying to learn the skills and use the skills and adapt that way. We have to change and grow. That's the name of our life, isn't it?
Right. That's the deal. So how did people around you react to you? I knew this was going to be juicy because
are you crazy? You know, are you completely crazy? And then when I called my book Celebrating Anger, oh my God, the flack that I got from people. You can't call it Celebrating Anger. You have to call it Managing Conflict. No, I wanted to say Celebrating Anger because anger is like passion. You know, if you can channel it and use it as a catalyst for growth, so many amazing things can happen. So I went with that. People, you know, were saying, and my middle daughter will still say, what are you doing? You know, now you're doing this on Zoom. Are you crazy? People say it all the time. And talking about anger, you're nuts. Nobody wants to hear about anger. That's what they say.
But boy, you know, everybody wants to do something about the anger. But nobody talk about it, right?
But don't.
Yeah. And then it breaks out all over. Headlines are full of people having anger moments.
Yeah.
and people just stand around and go, oh my God, what was this guy? There's a lot of anger out there. There's a lot of frustration. There's a lot of polarity that's going on, and the conflict that polarity causes.
Yeah.
It's
the blame game is very big right now.
Right.
The vaxxers and the anti-vaxxers, and blaming each other and blaming the government and blame.
Right. And that doesn't solve anything.
Nothing.
Definitely passing the buck.
Or passing the ball. I think of it as the anger ball, you know, and sometimes it starts off small. This is a technique. If you find yourself, if somebody is saying nasty things to you and you find yourself getting triggered, well, I have can I share some tools with you?
Yes.
Would that be okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So the first one I want to share is, it doesn't cost a penny, but it may save a person's life. And it's so simple. If we keep anger inside of us and we push it down and we pretend we don't have it, we often get depressed, and sometimes we get sick. And particularly cancer. Cancer comes to the nice people, unfortunately, not to the psychopaths or sociopaths. And because they're the ones that act out their anger. And I'm not suggesting that your audience becomes sociopathic. However, take note, acting out, meaning getting it out of the body. So here's a really painless way you can do anywhere, anytime. I call it the 3-second scream. And I'm going to take my glasses off because it looks like this. You put your right hand over your mouth, your left hand over your right hand, or left-handed, right hand, whatever. And you take a deep breath in, and then you scream at the top of your lungs. Let's do it together. Let's do it together. 1, 2, 3. Take a deep breath in, hand over mouth, tight, scream. And it's not a big deal. People don't even hear it. In fact, most people think that you're sneezing.
Ah, okay.
And then they give you a blessing.
There you
Typically.
go.
So you can do this anywhere. You can do it in a meeting. If you're in the office, you can do it at home. You can do it in the car. But if you're in the car driving, no hands over the mouth.
Right. Or only one.
You can do it in the shower. You can do it in a cemetery. People will think you're grieving. I mean, it just is an invaluable tool. It gets the anger right out and gives you room then. I mean, I laugh when I do it. It's automatic. I do it automatically. As soon as I get triggered, I do my scream, and it creates that response, the laugh response, and that comes up as well, usually with it. So, it's sort of like 2 for 1 and a blessing. What the heck?
Yes. Actually, it's really interesting. I'm a trivia buff. I collected odd information all of my life. Do you know why we say God bless you?
No.
We say God bless you because in the medieval and prior periods, when people sneezed, they thought it was expelling a demon.
Oh my God.
So sneezes, coughs, hiccups, burps were all greeted with God bless you because they thought a demon was exiting the body. So here you are saying, we're getting the anger out, and anger is kind of a demon.
Well, it is. That is brilliant. Expelling the demon. I'm writing that down. That is brilliant.
Yes.
Anger is just one letter, a little letter away from danger. Because, it's and it can be, if we keep it inside, we hurt ourselves. If we dump it on other people, we hurt them and us. So we got to find different ways.
Yes.
And another way, and this is there's the anger ball. Typically, that was what I was going to suggest before we talk about, is that if somebody says something mean to you and you get triggered, and your immediate response, let's say, would be to throw something back at them, Barb, or something. So you throw it back to them. Now the anger ball starts to grow, and it starts maybe with a little golf ball, and then it becomes a softball, and then it becomes a beach ball, because we escalate each time we throw it. Right. And so the solution, drop the ball. Yep. Just don't do that. Don't go there.
Right. But
drop it down.
Even babies or small children have the Hitback response.
It's fight, flight, or freeze.
Yeah.
And babies don't freeze. Babies do the.
They're going to hit back.
We learn freeze.
Yes.
But they're gonna hit back.
They're going to defend themselves, right?
For sure.
We're being attacked, and we need to defend ourselves.
Yeah.
So it really is an interesting little. You've got to catch that response.
Yes.
That's almost hardwired into us.
Exactly. You put it perfectly. And here's another technique, and that is for a person who doesn't want to do the scream or is afraid of doing it. And I promise you, if you do it once or twice, you'll like it, because it's so easy to do. But another one would be for, perhaps the more dignified of our audience that don't want to do this. This is the sniff breath, and this works too. So how we do it is we take, and I'll just describe it and then we can do it together. Take an ordinary breath in, saving a little room at the top, and you take a sniff, and then you exhale to a count of 8. So let's just try it. We're going to do it 3 times. Let's do it together. So take your breath in, sniff, exhale. Another breath in, sniff, exhale. One more. In, sniff, exhale. Drop your shoulders. How do you feel?
Wow. Yeah. This is nice.
Yeah, it's relaxing.
Yeah, very, very. And it's good for your diaphragm as well.
It's good for your diaphragm. It's good for your psyche and your soul. It's good to relax. And typically what happens is the very thing that you get triggered by, you forget.
Right. What was that anyway? Right. Yeah.
Because the mind doesn't like to keep two things going at once. So, when you're in there, and so that's the sniff breath. And of course, I have many, many other tools to offer.
And you've got something for our audience, if I remember correctly.
I absolutely do. I have an ebook called From Conflict to Caring.
Ooh.
And you have the specifics to get it. You can put it in the, yep, you got it right there. This is wonderful. And of course I have my Celebrating Anger book, and that's available too, but you can get that at Amazon.
Or your local booksellers.
Or your local bookstores. Yes, absolutely.
Yes, you can get it on Indie, I'm sure. So thank you so much, Angela. This has been a fabulous, fun interview talking about anger. How about that? Who would have thunk?
Oh, Sue, thank you again for having me. It's just such a delight to be with you.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And thank you to my viewers and listeners on the Sweet Sound of Success. What are your dreams for your business? You know what drives me crazy? Really smart business owners denying their talents because they've been taught it has to be hard, because they've been taught that they don't deserve their gifts, that they're not worth anything. They've been taught that their gender means they can't express their genius. I'm Sue Wilhite, and I want you to have access to your genius. I want you to go out and rock the world with your genius. So I created the Call to Action coaching program. It's all about getting to the heart of you and what you've got to share with the world to make a profitable business that thrives and allows you to make a difference in the world. Click the link to sign up for the Call to Action coaching program today. Don't let your genius go unnoticed.